Patrick McNeil back here in the intermission and joined now by Halifax Mooseheads Manager of Media Relations and Communications, Scott MacIntosh. Scott, how have the Mooseheads been adjusting on the business side of things in the COVID-19 era?
Well, it's a different sort of year. It's been a difficult year for all of us to sort of get used to and adapt to, and not only for us, but of course, most importantly, our fans, who we try our best to accommodate in this situation. Yeah, it's been a little strange in many regards. One, from my vantage point in the press box, each game looking down and seeing fewer than 2,000 people in the stands is just not what we're used to here in Halifax, but making the most of it. And we're just very fortunate to be able to be playing hockey at this point and doing it in front of fans, thanks to the Nova Scotia government for helping that happen. It was challenging in terms of what do you do for season ticket holders or our 15-pack holders or even the regular walk-up fans during a season like this. So it was our plan, after a long thought-out process, was to offer not necessarily season ticket memberships, but bubbles of 15 games, two separate bubbles that would have the games staggered throughout the season so fans could have an opportunity to come see our 30 home games this season. And that gave us the opportunity to bring a number of different fans in, so it wasn't just isolating it to be the same group of people each game. We want everyone as much as possible to be able to share in this experience.
It sounds like in Halifax it was mainly a matter of selling half-season tickets. Do you have a lot of people that are going to all the games, or is that not possible just to accommodate everybody?
I don't have an exact number, but I know several season ticket members from years past have decided to purchase both bubbles, so they're attending all 30 games as well. They took advantage of that opportunity. Some opted out completely, but we obviously are going to hold everyone's seat in hopes of a return to normalcy here in the future. And so if you were a season ticket member who felt that they just didn't want to expose themselves to being out in public, either a lot of the older generation who aren't comfortable yet to go out in the public, so many people said, you know what, I'll take a year off, opt out, but that doesn't mean that they lose their spot for the future. We retain everyone's seats and their memberships in the future going forward. We've kind of put everything on pause for a year, and we'll revisit that down the road. Everyone will be able to come back the way it used to be, hopefully at some point.
Looking at the hockey side of things, a bit of an anomaly in Halifax is there's been so much turnover at the head coaching position, and JJ Daigneault comes back for his second season. How do you think things went for him in his first campaign? And I guess how nice is it to have a familiar face behind the bench for the first time in a while?
It's great to see JJ back. It's fun having someone of somewhat fame, NHL alumni as well. He's a wonderful person to deal with. I think probably anyone would have had a tough go of it last year with the Mooseheads, who were clearly in sell-off mode, getting rid of those high-end players like Jared McIsaac, Benoit Olivier-Groulx, Raphael Lavoie, and others. It was a tough second half of the season for everyone with the team, players, coaches, and business staff alike. It was difficult to watch after being so competitive in the years leading up to that. We ended near the bottom of the standings, but I think it's only fair that he gets a chance to be with this team to see it through the next phase of a rebuild, which is happening pretty quickly here. We have several 16 and 17-year-olds on the team this season, but an exciting young group of players, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he continues to develop this group, who have already proven to be pretty good out there so far this season.
The Mooseheads have always been kind of famous for very high-end production, a lot of slick videos and whatnot. Has there been any challenges on the production end when it comes to the pandemic?
Well, we have to obviously keep socially distanced from players when doing things. I know in training camp, I got my hockey stick sawed off and I had a microphone attached to the end of it, but we're still able to properly do our videos, and we're trying to be as conscious as possible to have even more in-game this season, with everyone basically being glued to their seats and not being able to move around the building and have as much of a social outing as a hockey game used to be. We want to try our best to entertain fans. I've started a new Around the Queue video that we do one intermission per game now, just to try and get fans, keeping them up to date on what's going on around the league as opposed to just Moosehead centric. And we've had some different player challenges that we've previously recorded that we're unveiling each game, which is a lot of fun. Much like you'd see on, I don't know if you've ever watched Dude Perfect on YouTube, but things like that, just fun little challenges. And we've actually upped our game in terms of that in-house production to keep fans as entertained as possible during these intermissions while they're sitting and eating their popcorn, I guess.
Answered mostly the questions I was going to ask, so I'll ask another one on the hockey side. Unfortunate situation in Halifax. Samuel Dube was a first-round draft pick of the Mooseheads. Didn't quite work out like anybody had planned. Tell us what's happened with him.
It was too bad to see. He's departed from the team. The team and himself kind of came together and decided that maybe it was best for him to move on. Things weren't working out for him. He was a 12th overall pick in 2018. Had high hopes for him. It just didn't seem to work out the way everyone had envisioned. So all the best to him as he's going back home to Germany. He was a dual citizen, father and mother from Quebec, but his father played professional hockey in Germany, and that's where he was born and raised. They still live there. So he's gone home and trying to continue his hockey dream there. So that opened up a roster spot, and the team has now called up 17-year-old William Robitaille, who was a draft pick in 2019, a seventh rounder, and another player they have some high hopes for. He played pretty well in the preseason with a couple of goals, and so he's back in Halifax now, obviously doing the quarantine. He just arrived on Sunday, so it'll be a couple of weeks before we see him in action early November. That just adds yet another young piece to this team.
Great insight on everything going on in Halifax, Scott. Thanks for this, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Hey, thank you, Pat. All the best to you.
That's Scott MacIntosh. He's the Manager of Media Relations and Communications for the Halifax Mooseheads. You're listening to the Intermission of McDonald Auto Hub, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.